Hi, everybody. I believe I am live. I tried to do this yesterday 3 times, but it just didn't work. It was rainy and blustery, and I live in an old apartment, and sometimes the wires get funky when it's rainy and blustery for a couple days straight. It has been sunny and beautiful, chilly, but beautiful today. So my guess is that I'm going to be able to pull this off, and I know it's at a bad timing, but I'm going to try to stay focused anyways, so I think that will work out just fine. So what I am making this video for is to quickly go through. I know today is November 1st. Happy November 1st. but we ended with Halloween last night. We ended the month of Embrace the Magical, and I had just gone through my entire collection just and grabbed any decks that spoke to me of Embrace the Magical, whether that was fun and Halloweeny or whether that was mystical, magical in some way. But in some way, it just spoke to me of Embrace the Magical. So we tried to do this twice last night, or 3 times actually, and it was this third time all it would do is buffer. So after restarting my computer and my modem. So hello, yes, I am live, but I'm gonna try to stay focused. Hi, Terry. Because my problem is that I actually need to do some work, and my desk is covered in Embrace the Magical decks. So I really need to go through this so that I can work at my computer. So that's why I'm doing it, and I'm doing it live so I can just do it and get it up there. So please have patience if I hurry through these decks, or just stay focused, just so that people watching it back are able to just kind of look at the different decks and be able to see it. And some of these, if you were on last night, you've seen a few of these. I think most of those are over there. I'm just doing them all. I did a few, and then it went off, and then I couldn't get back on. But I really want them all in one deck. So if you already watched this video, part of the video, which I deleted, you've seen a couple of these decks. But I'm just going to do them all in one swoop. So all of that qualification. Hello, I'm glad that you were able to make it this time. It's a weird time. A lot of people aren't even off work. But again, I need to work, and I can't because I have yummy decks all in front of me. So let's get rolling. And this is in no particular order. I will try to maybe save my absolute favorite for last, but probably not. I'm just going to grab them as I go. And again, this could be anything from Embrace the Magic of Halloween to embrace whatever floats my boat in terms of Embrace the Magical, whatever caught my attention when I was going through. So this is a newer deck to me that was sent to me called, I don't know if it actually has a name, but if you go to elizabethonearth.com, she is the artist, and she made these, she's not, I don't think, in the Oracle deck field or industry, or as you might say. I think she's more of a surrealist artist. And it's not typically my style of deck, because I don't really like decks that just have women, lots and lots of women. And there's pretty much a woman in every card. And this was, I think, in 2 sets. Jen had sent these to me. And but I have to say, you get, there's like little sets, and I think she just can't with a third one. This just has the 2 of them put together. And so it's very surrealistic art, like this type of thing, where you have this floating dress with the moon where the head would be, and it's called The Ghost. And there's just something about this deck that, again, isn't my typical deck that I would be drawn to, but I've had some really powerful readings with it, and so it just kind of hangs out in that mystical liminal space. I'm trying to not get sidetracked by the chat, so please excuse me, people coming in, but somebody just had a baby niece or nephew, maybe. My niece was born at 9:05 a.m. yesterday. Congratulations to your newest niece. But I'm going to keep going because I want this to be okay for people watching back. Here we have the Ghosts and Spirits Tarot by Lisa Hunt. You know, it's interesting. Lisa Hunt and I's, in terms of decks, this is another deck where I just, why this backing with this aged, gorgeous artwork on the front, I will never know. Like, these are just beautiful pieces of art. But then the back has like quirky ghosts on the back of it. It is so strange to me, and it's like pure white ghost, and this is all very like old manuscript muted brown tones. Such a strange combination there, but anyways, this is a really interesting deck. It has lots of different ghost stories from all different cultures. And it is really powerful. I don't use it too often, but I have to say, I've kind of, from November 1st to November 7th, I do a lot of intense ancestor work, and this kind of makes me want to try this, pull a spread with this one. I definitely feel a little call to it. Definitely despise the backing. Again, it's a cute backing, so it's not anything wrong with the backing, but it doesn't go at all with the front of the cards. Yes, I do love her Lenormand as well, but I do think it trips new people to Lenormand up because they want to connect the story with the card, and Lenormand is very much a house is a house is a house. It doesn't matter if it's a gingerbread house in the woods, so to speak. So yeah, but that's a whole nother topic, isn't it? Okay, here's another one. The Gothic Tarot. This is illustrated by Joseph Vargo. I really like this deck. Again, this is just one of those quirky decks, but I quite, you know, I haven't used it, as you can tell. I don't think I've even done a walkthrough of it, but I like the very black and blue tones. Let me get out of the majors. The majors are cool. Like, look at the strength card. This is definitely, you know, vampires and werewolves, and look at the death card is awesome. Yes, I think, you know, that's really a good good catch there, Shay, because I think this might read really cool with Madame Endora's. I just really like the, let's see if I can get some of the minors. Yeah, it would. I mean, look at the wands for the Ace of Wands. It's very pippish, which I like, but not entirely pippish. It does have, even in the pip, like, look at the Five of Wands. So I really like this deck. It's definitely like graphic novel. Like, look at the Queen of Wands. This is not a great camera for looking at these, but let me see what the Queen of, again, very pip-like, which I personally love. I know I'm going to have to try this with Madame Endora. You are definitely right. Look at the Ten of Cups, happily ever after. I want to see what the Queen of Cups is pretty awesome too. Let me see the Queen of Swords, because, you know, gotta look at that. Yeah, I really like this deck. Again, very graphic novel. I love this Knave of Swords. Oops, where's my Queen of Swords? Here's the Queen of Swords. Very cool. Gargoyles, vampires, werewolves, but I really like it. I think it is a cool, and I definitely agree with Shay. I'm going to stick this off somewhere to do a run of, try this out with Madame Endora's, which I will show next so you can see what we're talking about. Hi, Corvus. Hello, everybody coming in. Again, I'm just going through decks that embrace the magical for me, and most definitely the Madame Endora's fortune cards are one of my all-time favorites. It reads fantastic. It does give you little meanings down here, which I don't give much weight to. Like, I just read the cards how I want to read them, but they look really cool. And I do think this would read really interesting with that one I just showed. So this is one of my, it's one of my favorite Oracle decks, and B, it's just one of my, it embraces the magical. I feel very much like a fortune teller when I'm reading with the Madame and Doris. So there's that one. Here's a zombie one, because let's just switch to zombies, because, you know, what doesn't embrace the magic like zombies? Now, a lot of people will say, well, okay, I get vampires and I get werewolves, but zombies, like, zombies aren't very magical of monsters, but they are. It's the magic of science in our, think about, you know, monsters are reflections of the culture. They're reflections of the culture that they come out of. They're very much reflections of the fears, right? So the book Frankenstein, with Frankenstein's creature, is the fear of what was going to happen if science started meddling with life. If doctors took things too far and were trying to play God, what was going to happen, right? Vampires, you could, there's a lot of things that we're afraid of, but one of the big things that people were afraid of when vampire books came out, like Dracula, is women in their sexuality. So if a woman was very much owning her own sexuality, then clearly she must be an undead creature of the night, right? Surely. And even Frankenstein had a lot to do with the fallen woman. So yeah. So zombies are a modern fear, right? They are the fear of science gone wrong. They're the fear of cures going wrong. Watch I Am Legend, even though it ruins the book. It's not the same as the book. It's a whole nother rant elsewhere. But I Am Legend is that fear that when we again are trying to play God too much, what's going to happen is it's going to spring back and knock us in the face, and we're going to end up with being zombies. Of course, most of the zombie things start as some sort of either the cure for cancer that turns into the zombie apocalypse, or it is chemical warfare that goes wrong. It is the things that we're afraid of. We're not as afraid. I think we're still a little afraid, but we're not as afraid of women's sexuality or those types of things. But we are afraid of playing God, of messing with chemicals and things of that nature, and having it turn around and bite us back. It's also the fear of over consumerism that we think of. So this is a new zombie one. I haven't even had a chance. Actually, I was at Barnes and Nobles and I bumped into somebody who watches the channel. Here is the back, which is pretty cool back. I love this High Priestess, actually. So yeah. This is a new one. This one is called, I think it's just Zombie Terror by Los Garabio. But yeah, I have not done a walkthrough of this or anything yet. I'm a huge proponent. I love apocalypse books and movies. I think they really are focusing on the question of what it means to be human. They're really focused on the question of how quickly are we going to lose our humanity when society no longer holds us accountable for being humans, what we feel is being human or being civil, and how quickly can that degenerate when we don't have social constructs around us, and when survival is at a high. Look at that death card. Or it might not be the death, it's a hermit card, sorry. It's an awesome hermit card. So anyways, this, oh, look at this hanged man. He's pretty creepy. Let's see, let's look at a couple of the minors. Interesting world card. Life, coming from a desolate land. Yeah, I know. That's really what I did. My thesis was going to be on Frankenstein, and that question of when we create monsters and then discard them. Look at that Two of Cups, though. I mean, look at how poignant that is. Those are zombies. This is interesting because, you know, when you read a lot of zombie novels like I do, there's, of course, this strong variation between mindless zombies that have no recollection whatsoever with their humanity whatsoever. And then there are some of the most poignant, kind of unsettling ones are where you see that there are these glimmers there of remembered humanity. And so that's so poignant, right? Because you have that sense of connection that is still, I know they're super glossy, super, super glossy. I don't know. That one to me was, I thought, very poignant, creepy. Anytime there's children and scary things, there's always creepy things. Let me find the Queen of Swords just out of curiosity, because I like that Eight of Cups. Or no, that's the Eight of Pentacles. Okay, here's the Queen of Pentacles. Here's the wand. They might have passed the sword. There's the sword. I actually like this Three of Swords. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm spending a lot of time with this. It's just because I haven't seen the cards myself yet. So I need to do a walkthrough of this. Is this the kind of deck that I use to do readings for clients? No. Look at this Knight, though. He's pretty awesome. Whew, she's kind of creepy. Again, I love the use. One of the things that's cool in these types of decks is the fact that there is often, if they're good artists, if some degree of care has gone into it, there's a beautiful use of light and darkness in scary things. And yeah, I wouldn't use it for clients, you're right, just based off the glossiness. But these are the kind that just, I'm a zombie fanatic, so there's no way I'm not going to get this. Oops, put the thing back on correctly. But this is a low scare beer. I think it just came out recently. So that's that. Yeah, in terms of eating brains, not all zombies do eat brains. Again, there's a lot of different versions of zombies, but I think that zombies eating brains, it has to do, sometimes it's just blood. Sometimes it's just biting. A lot of times it is just biting, and it really talks about that transference of just needing to propagate. And that you'll also see in Dracula. If you read the book, a lot of that is also about that fear of transmission. And so that's definitely part of zombies. I think when they eat the brain, it's really interesting when you think about all of the electrical energy that's going on in the brain. And so my guess is that trying to grasp at that life force would be my guess. Since we are on zombies, favorite zombie books, The Girl with All the Gifts. I just love that book so much. It's really good. I Am Legend is an amazing book, but it's not about zombies. It's about vampires, even though the movie makes them look like zombies. I love Girl with All the Gifts. I actually love Warm Bodies. I mean, the movie's cheesy goodness, but the book, the Warm Bodies book, because that really does question that idea of reclamation and how to get, bring that spark of life back, and how we can create, again, our monsters. I Am Legend was a great movie, but not when you read the book. It's a soapbox for me, Shay. You don't want me to start with that, because the problem is that the book is iconic to vampires, and it's iconic to the understanding that in the end it's the humans who are the monsters, and it completely changes that in the movie, which I love the movie. If it had called itself anything other than I Am Legend, I still love the movie, but it ruins the book. The whole purpose of the book culminates in this moment in which the person realizes that they've become the legend, they're the monster, and it's totally ruined by the ending of that movie. Anyways, I will stop because we will go on here forever. there's a bunch of zombie books by Mark Tufo, Tufo. Those are a lot of fun. Those are a roiling good time kind of zombie books. I quite like those. I love these for the pure kitsch of. Also, the I Am Legend book is really amazing for, again, it's not a zombie book, but it's amazing for that question of what's retained. And it really talks about how even our myths and things like that can be retained, so that they are afraid of, say, you know, let's say garlic, because they think, because it's so embedded into our psyche that vampires are going to be afraid of garlic, that when they actually become vampires, they, you know, react to those things because it's such an embedded part of our psyche. It's so fascinating. Anyways, I know we're going to lose a bunch of people, Shay, with my going into this craziness. I love this deck. I think it is fantastic. It is purely kitsch to the absolute. It's not a big book either. It's quite a small book. Apocalypse books. Oh, what's that one that I absolutely love? It was written in the 50s. Babylon, Alas Babylon. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I know. We're claiming life like she's only 5 decks in. She got sidetracked on monsters. I love this so much. I ended up edging this deck in I edged it in black, but then what I did is I tried to make it really messy when I edged it. You can't probably see in this camera, but I tried to make it really messy and kind of smudge some of the black into the front as well, just to give it that I, you know, found this in a zombie apocalypse. And, you know, I'm going to use it. This one has the feeling of Shaun of the Dead. Shaun of the Dead is one of my favorite zombie movies, although, again, I do love a lot of them. But I actually like zombie books more than I like zombie movies. But Shaun of the Dead is so smart. And the end of Shaun of the Dead, which I don't think is going to give anything away. But anyways, there's a scene in Shaun of the Dead where they're using zombies like to like mow lawns and things like that. And there's this iconic scene in the beginning of Shaun of the Dead where when the dead have come and the zombie apocalypse is here, it takes them a while to figure it out, because a lot of people in the world are walking around like zombies. We are sleepwalking through life. And so that our repetitive actions don't look any different than what zombies look like. And it's so Shaun of the Dead is both hilarious. It has sad scenes in it, but it is an amazing social commentary, which is exactly what monster things should be at their best. You know, think about horror movie. Even I'm not as much into modern horror movies, but think about modern horror movies where for a while, if the first person to have sex was going to get killed, right? Because clearly, if you were having sex, you were bad, and so you're going to get killed first. I think if you were a pretty blonde girl, you're most likely to get killed. Like, there's all kinds of things. If you're African American, I believe in some of these older movies, you're going to get killed first. And so you can watch some of these things, and they have such ability to look at these and see there's a lot of social commentary that's going on in a good scary movie, not just in crap stuff, but in good stuff. I'm going to stop. This is my jam. Folklore and monster theory is my jam. So I'm getting a little excited. Okay. Moving on. It's not all, again, this is not all monster stuff. That was just ones I had that were in that genre of Embrace the Magical. Yeah, Buffy the Vampire Slayer is amazing. I will say that the first season's a little bit hard to get through because it is super, super kitschy. But the whole point, I love Joss Whedon. His Buffy the Vampire Slayer, his Dollhouse is amazing. I just love everything that Joss Whedon does. But Firefly, amazing. But the first season, even as much I've seen them over and over and over again, and I struggled through the first season because it's just like, oh my gosh, I'm just too old. But he wanted to change that. He took that construct of the blonde cheerleader who was going to be the first person to get killed because she's just stupid. You know, if you're pretty and blonde, you have to be stupid. He wanted to flip that on its, you know, he mindfully wanted to flip that on its lid and have her become the kick butt slayer. Of course, you know, in that show, I'm a huge Spike fan, huge Spike fan. I know everybody loves Angel. Characters like Angel irritate the crap out of me. They're like the, oh, woe is me. I'm a vampire. I have done some horrible things and eaten a lot of people. And now I'm going to live for eternity and be depressed and depressing. Drives me insane. Whereas Spike, he is awesome. Now, he's not good all the time, but he owns it. And what he does to try to get his soul back, I think is fantastic. Anyways, yes, that's Buffy the Vampire Slayer. But yes, his dollhouse is amazing. Firefly, I like all of his things. But we're getting sidetracked. Okay, so we're moving on. And Nikki, yes, I don't think all things Embrace the Magical have to do with monsters. That just is the part I was grabbing those particular decks. Not all of these decks have anything to do with monsters. So this is another one that somebody sent me this a long time ago, and I've almost given it away a lot because it's not, to me, my favorite Oracle deck, but there's something about it that I can't give it away. It's called Earthly Souls and Spirits, and it does have a very mystical, magical feel to it. I think that my problem is with some of the art is not all consistent across, I think, the theme. But I think my biggest problem is that I don't think that the keywords are just very conducive to doing readings with. Now, it might be great for like altar work and to just, pull a card and put it up on your altar or something like that, which I think that the creator does a lot of like altar cards and things like that. Her artwork is really beautiful. But I didn't find that it read for me very well as an Oracle deck. But I think that, so Shay says the same thing. And we generally agree on these types of things. They're just beautiful and mystical. And so I haven't been able to, and the backs are all like different. I don't like I'm not a fan of copyright on the back. That is, I'm sorry, but that's super easy to get rid of. If somebody wants to steal your stuff, that's not going to stop anything, and it just irritates the people who have it. So there we have that one. There's something really magical about the deck, and I don't think, I really don't mean it in a negative sense. Well, it is kind of negative in that I don't think it reads well as pull some cards and do a reading. For me, it doesn't. But I do think as pulling a single card and working with that energy, it works well. It's just kind of got a neat mystical feel for it. So there's that. Of course, I have to have the Halloween Oracle. I use this deck all year long, but it is certainly a amazing Embrace the Magical. These are spray painted. My friend Patrick spray painted them. They've held up beautifully. I know I've talked about it, so I'm not going to belabor the point. This is the perfect blend of they're just beautiful. Really, my only argument or my only detraction from this deck is that the backs were very kitschy, cute little ghosts. Again, there's nothing wrong with that, but the fronts are stunning. And so the backs to me did not go with the fronts. And so Patrick spray painted his and sent them to me. It's beautiful. It's a very deep deck. There's really nothing kitschy about the deck. There's a card that taps into the kitschy factor of Halloween. I mean, A Night Song has come up in so many powerful readings. I think the backs should have been like skulls or something like that. I'm trying to find the one that's actually like even this, the witch. So it has that traditional green skin alphabet feel to it, but it's really powerful. Trying to find the cute one. This one. So it has the trick or treat card because that is an aspect of Halloween, right? That the fact that kids are all going into this, and then there's lots of interesting lore behind trick or treat and stuff. So it does pull that in, but that's not the focus of the deck. It's a powerful deck. Love this cauldron card. Use this if you have this deck. I really highly recommend pulling this card or using this card in the center of a reading, and then either pulling runes and casting on it, if you have runes or oghams, or charm casting, where you cast on this, like you randomly will pull what are going to be the things that you're going to put into your cauldron to create a new rest of the year for yourself or something like that. It's really a cool card. I've done that a lot in the past, and I really, or like this is synergy and healing. So pulling a handful of charms or a handful of runes or something to cast onto it with like, what are the components that I need for healing? What are the components that I need to like manifest some strength and confidence as I move forward, or blah, 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 right? Whatever you're trying to brew up in your cauldron. That is a really great way to work with. I love to do that with this card. Love this joy card. When am I going to write your book? I have everything ready to do so because I'm going to take a ton of my stuff because I'm going to go through all the things that I teach classes with. So I have everything ready to do so. I was going to make it my focus for this year, but other things got in the way. In fact, I just got a test copy of half of my journey tokens. I'm painting through what I started to paint through, and then it turned into tokens, which I love. I'm working now that I can do it with hexagrams. I'm painting through my tokens at the moment. So anyways, I got sidetracked by a couple different things, but so hopefully this coming year will be that. But it's just time, right? We all only have so much time, and we still have to pay the bills and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna take a drink real quick and keep moving here. Sorry. I'm trying to stay somewhat focused. I'm trying. Oh, this one actually gives me my time. I'm not doing too hard. I know, because I'm so excited. They just came in the mail. I'm going to probably do an Instagram post on them. I haven't wanted to talk about them too much until I could see whether I was happy with the way they were going to print, because they had to be the hexagram form. And so I also passed the halfway point of, there's 45 tokens, and so there's 45 cards, and I reached past the halfway point, and I wanted to get half the pack halfway through. So yeah, I'm really excited because I'm thrilled with how they are looking. Okay, so continuing, that's Embrace the Magical though, right? It's magic for me. This one Jen sent me, and I always had wanted this because this reminded me. Would you integrate the idea of Oracle deck you started before? Yeah, I'll do a video, Nikki. Again, I was just waiting to try to get to where I had a grasp on things. But yeah, that's where I started. The tokens came from the initial concept. It was all the same suits. It was all the same things. I just condensed things and tweaked it. So the same images that I had already started, I had like 6 or 7 of the images already done, painted, and those are in the deck. So all of the ones that you guys have seen me paint through, they're in the deck already. There's just more of them now. Okay, so Madame Clara's Fate, Destiny, and Fortune cards. Yes, you do. Oh, you should have, Tarot Student. I did send a message out. Send me a message, email me, Tarot Student, because I did send everybody a welcome message. So if you didn't get that, email me so I can make sure that. But yes, we have. Actually, there's only about 3 more spaces. I don't want any more than 25 for that class because it's more like a lit class in which I do want some interaction and I will be reading everybody's stories. So I'm kind of keeping that to a smaller amount than maybe my tarot or my Lenormand classes. Here, I'll type it up for you, Tarot Student. Because, yeah, you should have gotten something. Email is getting really bad. Things get blocked constantly. Truth and story. And also the other problem is that a lot of times people have a different email attached to their PayPal account that they don't actually check regularly, and then a lot of times it ends up in spam. And there's also something where it kicks back, and I get a ton of kickbacks, and that's where people's emails are rejecting them as being spam, so they don't even get in. Anyways, back to, sorry, I'm trying not to get too sidetracked. I just saw that question, and so just email me if you have. But yeah, I think there's like 3 spots left in that class. Here's the death card. These are like fortune cards that I just have always, my only problem is that even with even with my glasses on, I have a bit of a problem reading the text. So I don't know if it is the font. It's a combination, I think, of the font and the size of the font. So I have a bit of a problem reading it. But to me, this is more kitschy goodness. Like, this kind of just feels like you're at a, you go to the festival or the fair and you enter into the fortune teller's tent and you're about to get, you're about to get a reading. And they have, the color palette is very limited. I think Shay just said it looks like, it does, in person, it doesn't look like American flag. It looks like the old fortune telling decks that would only have a couple colors. I think obviously older printers only had smaller palette options. And so that's what it kind of looks like in person. I never purchased it, but Jen had sent it to me as over, when she was clearing out her, I do love the Empress here. So it's very kitschy. I know I'm overusing the word kitschy, but I think that Embrace the Magical is about the kitsch. So some of those things are going to crop up a lot in this particular video, even though not all of the decks are like that. Okay. Yeah, she has other, let's see, Bart's sending me something. I think he's talking about something else. Okay. Let me clear the rest of these out, and then I have a pile over here still. I have a lot of decks like this because I love Embrace the Magical. This, of course, is Mildred Payne. I mean, there's nothing to me that speaks of Halloween and October and Embrace the Magical more than Mildred Payne. And it's a fabulous deck. It is not just non-substance. That's not a word. It reads beautifully. It's really balanced. I have like 2 or 3 different videos on this. I use this a ton in a web reading. I'm almost entirely use it in a web reading that I do. And because they're small and you can connect all of these little things, and it's really cool to read it with like that. And it's super balanced. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I love the new backings. The original backings have different, like each set made like a different puzzle, which is really cool. But in terms of having a cohesive deck, I personally love these backings. So I am a massive fan of this deck and all of its expansions. The cards are not different, Molly. It's just the backs. Because I have the original as well. And the cards themselves are exactly the same. They just have all the same backing instead of having the various editions with the backings. So I absolutely love this deck. I have used it a lot. So it's not just fun. It reads really, really fantastic. I'm going to put this one up here as well. This is called the Enchanted Spell Oracle Medieval Hedge Witch Magic. I don't know why I'm putting this in here. I didn't hold myself to any kind of standard. I just pulled anything that spoke to me of Embrace the Magical. And there's just something about this deck yeah, I agree, Miss Molly. I'm 100% on the same board with you. I don't like having to repurchase decks. I don't like new editions coming out that change something specific. Like that kind of stuff annoys me. However, I do like expansions. I like how he put the expansions out, and they all work the same. If you just get the expansions, you don't have to repurchase it. I repurchased it because I knew my friend Bart would love to have the original pieces. And because I use it professionally, I like the backs to all be the same. It just looks like a cohesive deck, but you don't have to repurchase it. Anyways, I don't know. Again, this one just has a really medieval, magical feel about it. I keep this a lot of times on my working table, and I will pull from it for that. Like it has enchantment, has clarity, then it has specific herbs and things that go with it. So for me, it just, I don't know. I really just, something about it is embrace sort of the medieval hedge witch magicalness. It's just that it is very medieval. There's a couple cards. I remember there was one that I was kind of like, why do we have to have, I feel like it's this deck. Maybe I'm wrong. It has all, like this is Alder. It has a lot of the oghams that are in it as well. It's just something quirky and medieval feeling and herby and magically. Like I don't like some of the more modern feels. Like that would not be in a medieval manuscript. So there's a couple that I'm kind of like, but overall, it's a deck I have enjoyed using for myself on my working table because it just makes you feel like you're a medieval hedge witch, as the name implies. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. I have to put this. Now, this is going to more of a serious bent, and I still haven't done the walkthrough of this yet, although if you follow my Instagram, you've seen I've used this quite a bit for myself. This is the Divine Muses. The author, the creator of this deck sent this to me. But I've just been blown away by this deck. It goes against some of my principles of it has way more, it's mostly female. There are a couple men in here, but it is very predominantly female oriented, which is I'm not a big fan of. However, she makes use of some really cool keywords. And I truly believe that this deck feels very much like you are entering into the waters of the High Priestess. It really has that. It has all the muses, the traditional muses, like the muse of art and things like that. Here we have the Sacred Witch. There's a wild woman and a wild man. So there are a couple male figures, like the Muse of History is a male. So it's not that there's no men, but there are far more women than there are men. I love this Raven King. Look at the Muse of Poetry. But there's just something about this. Look at this. It's one of my favorite cards. The World Weaver. I mean, come on. I have a friend, Larissa. She used to do videos. I don't know if her channel's up still, under the Bard's Lament and the Eternal Student. I mean, come on. That's me in a nutshell. She has had some amazing experiences with this deck. So it was already on my list to get. It was on my Oracle list of things to pick up because of what she had told me. And then the creator sent it to me. And I have found, like, here's the Ancestor card. And I love this Unknown card. Like, I love, this is not the only deck. I've seen this before, but it doesn't happen all the time. And I love this unknown, this idea that it's just unknown right now. You're going to have to allow for the fact that right now it's not knowable. There are things that are not fully coalesced into something. We don't get to know everything. I mean, divination or non-divination aside, we don't get to know everything. Things aren't energetically always all pulled together. Things are in the midst of flux. There's all kinds of reasons why an unknown card is really fantastic to have. So here's a muse of astrology. So I just, and then the guidebook. And you know me, Mystic Rapture. I mean, look at that. How is that not in the water of the High Priestess? I'm going to do a walkthrough. I just really wanted to work with it. It has the solar feminine and the lunar masculine, which I really love, right? Because some cultures, the lunar energy is associated with females and the lunar energy is associated with men, or masculine energy. So I really like that because that's not something you see a lot. Sorry, I know I'm talking a lot about this one. It's just different. This group mind, like, okay, you're being a herd of sheep. Like having this come up where it's like, you're just following along with the crowd, right? You're just moving along with the way the masses are going, which can be really dangerous, right? So yeah, I love the Sin Eater card. I did a blog post on that. The Wounded Healer, I mean, it's got a Chiron card in it. So I don't know. Again, I do love the Sky Father. There's an Earth Mother and a Sky Father. So there is some masculine energy. It just, look at the Shadow Queen. Anyways, it's very mystical. It's definitely magical. It definitely feels like you're diving into the water of the High Priestess. And the book, like, I don't tend to get super excited about books, but what I love is that because these are done through I'm totally blanking. What's the, I'm totally blank. Collage, sorry. Collage, but she's picking actual photographs mindfully. And a lot of times they're actual people. So, like people that resonate with the situation. I'm trying to find an example. Like here. So in the Totem of Air, which you can kind of see as a ballerina, it always has a section of in the card. And this is the prima ballerina Anna Pavlova. And she talks about how that particular person that's in the card, why she chose the particular card or images that she used. For even like in the Kindred Spirits, it's a bunch of Victorian images and why she picked the certain images that she picked. So you definitely get a feel for why she used what she used. Like this is an aviator picture for the Astral Ascent card, and that is an image of in 1921 of American aviator Bessie Coleman. She was the first African American woman to get her pilot's license, as well as the first Native American aviator, since she was also part Cherokee. So that's, I know, I'm the same way, Molly. How did that happen? Okay, I'm going to stop with this one. I need to just do the walkthrough because I wanted to use it because I knew it was a little bit different. And I've had some really deep readings myself with it quite a bit. So I'm really a big fan of that. Fast becoming a favorite. I know. I still don't think I like collage art. Yes, I think that's what I have had to learn to differentiate. I'm not a fan of collage art, but I will say that I may be a fan of collage decks, even though I'm not a fan of the art. If that makes sense. Okay. Okay, let's try to, okay, that's all that is done. Here's a little pile. These are ones, if you were on last night, you've already seen these, so I'm going to try to go quickly, but I've deleted that, and again, I tried 3 times last night, so I just want to have everything into one video. So I apologize if you were on last night, you have already seen these decks. I will try to make them quick. I've had this deck for a while. I don't believe I've ever read with it, but I will never get rid of it because it's so weird and creepy. It's called Oracle of Shadows by the White Rabbit. These are the backs. This is it's that creepy where things are just a little bit weird and it doesn't take a whole lot. Somebody said it best last night when they said it was like a Victorian freak show, and that's what they feel like. They feel like Victorian freak show. I'm totally blanking. Anyways, this was sent to me as a gift. And I love this intuition. Like it's definitely kitschy. It's definitely tapping into embrace the magical. But it's just that little bit of just weirdness that creeps me out. So I love it. I wouldn't get rid of it, but it's not a deck that I actually do any readings with. I mean, come on, look at that. Like, look at this shadow. So it's just fun. Fun, creepy goodness there. Okay, put that away. This, I believe, I'm so sorry, Nikki. I don't remember the name of this still, but I think it's called Victorian Gothic, Bohemian Gothic Lenormand or something. It's one of my favorite backs ever. So it's a Lenormand deck that is wonderfully creepy, very, very much Edgar Allan Poe. I just love this deck. I love this deck so much. The moon is fabulous. Yeah, it's just fabulous. I mean, look at the sun card. I showed this last time. Like, even though the whole thing is dark, the use of light and the way that light really shines, I think that is key to really good sort of Gothic decks, is when you can really manipulate where the light and shadow is. Look at the lady card. I mean, she's gorgeous. So I love this deck a lot. Of course, I black the edges because why wouldn't you do so? Okay. I'm sorry. I was going to try to get it all in under an hour, but I don't know if that's going to happen. Do I do anything? The only thing I try to keep it an hour is a walkthrough, and that's one deck. And look at how many decks. I've never used this deck either or done a walkthrough. This is pure Halloween kitsch. But I have to say, when I was looking at it last night, because we already did this one, I fell in love with it. I mean, this is like the Addams fam. Look at the backs. I know, I need to accept it, Shay. I have accepted it. I just don't think everybody else has. This is a cute deck. This is a fun deck for Halloween. I think for me to use it, I would definitely need to trim it to get that white border off. I'm sure other people have done so, but this is just like fun Halloween, and it's in a tin. Yeah, it's called the Halloween Tarot by Kipling West. I mean, it's just fun. Seems very readable. It seems to be probably Rider-Waite-Smith. Again, I haven't done a walkthrough of this. I love the star card. So yeah, I mean, it looks like it doesn't look to me like it's just thrown together. Like, it looks like it was really mindfully done. It's definitely, you can see the Rider-Waite-Smith, but they've stuck the pumpkins in there. You know what I'm saying? So it looks to be quite mindfully done Rider-Waite-Smith. So it's not just cute visuals with not being readable. It looks very readable from what I've seen. Oh, there's a book for it. Okay, I did not know that. But oops, and I put it on backwards. So yeah, I will definitely use this more next year. I got it last year, I think, and I just haven't done anything with it. This is the wooden tarot. As I said last night when I had this one out, I know this seems weird for Embrace the Magical. This is another one that feels like you are a bit in the waters of the High Priestess. You're in the liminal space. You're in a foresty liminal space where things are just a little bit odd. And it really is beautiful. I've used this in actual readings. Some people are creeped out by, like, I don't particularly like headless things either, but it's pretty cool. Some of the things have, like the death card. I mean, owls eat mice, like they do it. Like this whale, if you look really closely, the whale has 3 eyes on each side, so it means it has 6 eyes. So there are extra eyes in things that kind of creep people out a little bit, but there's something really powerful about this deck. I don't particularly like I don't like the perfect example. I know I say this and people laugh at me, but it's like this is a fox, and instead of having a fox head or something, it has a sunflower head. So that kind of stuff, that kind of surrealistic art style I'm not a fan of it, but I really do love this deck. And he also has a small deck. I know he has a new oracle. I don't know anything about it, so I can't speak to that. But he has a small oracle that's called the Earth. Is it the Earthbound Oracle? Somebody might know. That one is much more earthy. I don't feel it has a surrealistic feel to it. It feels like a really earthy. It reads really great. It's like playing card size. That one I love. That's an amazing deck, but it's not Embrace the Magical deck for me. But this is very Embrace the Magical in that foresty, High Priestess, watery vibe. That's kind of how I would put that. I'm going to save this one for last because this would be my favorite. Maybe these two. So let me do these because they're right in front of me. This is probably a little bit of an odd set. So this is a set that I bought, and I've actually done a lot of work with, although I've never done a walkthrough of them. I am aware that not everybody loves the creator of these decks because he's got some questionable decks. He also was the one who did the Rackham Oracle. I think it's Duck Suit Publishing. This is the, I don't even know what it's called. Shoot. It's the Circus Tarot. Oh, shoot, I can't remember. I don't remember the name of it. Okay. Well, it's by Duck Suit Publishing, and it's about circus themed. So I can't tell. I'm hoping, I keep waiting like for somebody to come to my rescue. I really, this deck to me is super powerful because it's very, it inhabits those two spaces of the front of the circus where, you know, people go for entertainment and people love circuses and the circus is coming to town and all of that energy that the old circuses have to come to or would go for and would be excited about them coming. But then it also has the back side of the circus and the darker aspects of the circus, like the devil. No, it's a full deck. Anna Oracle deck. Thank you, Jamie Loom. Thank you. She came to my rescue. It is the Circus. I don't know if it's Magi or Magi. I'm not sure. But thank you, Miss Nikki. I really actually quite love this deck. I've had a lot of real powerful readings. I've only read with myself. It definitely touches into again, the light and the shadow of circus energy, which I think fits really well with this idea of Embrace the Magical, because magical monsters and things of that nature are uncomfortable spaces sometimes as well. And then this is the Oracle. There's actually an Oracle deck that goes with it. as well. And the other deck that I use with it, so, you know, for a 3 voices reading for myself, I use the tarot deck, the oracle deck, and then I didn't come at it when everybody else did. I got it later down the road. I think there's also a Lenormand deck, but I didn't get the Lenormand deck because I used this Kadar fortune cards, which is just like going to the circus to one of those fortune telling machines where they spit out your fortune. And I absolutely love this playing card fortune telling deck. It's got fortunes on the side. It has the playing cards. I mean, this to me is pure embrace the magical. I absolutely love it. Intellectual achievement and control. On one side, thinking, planning, and puzzle solving with the calm mind, or life needs a plan of the 5 of spades. Love, love, love. I don't think you can get this, but I don't know that for sure. I think this might have been a Kickstarter at one time. Not entirely sure. But I do know with the duck soup, and again, I didn't know, at least when I got the Rackham Oracle, I think there is a couple of his decks that are problematic in terms of maybe using blackface, you know, which is obviously not socially acceptable, nor should it be anymore. But I know there's some kinds of things surrounding the creator, so you'll have to do your own legwork with that type of thing, because that wasn't something that I was aware of at the time. So you'll need to make those decisions yourself. But the decks are very embrace the magical. I'm not a person who generally knows, to be honest, about controversies around people and things that create decks. I know we're taking a rabbit trail just so I can take a breath for a second. Part of the problem that I have with things, oh my goodness, somebody just slammed into the wall. It's okay, Belle. You're okay. You know, I think it gets to be problematic when we sometimes mix what we know of artists with their art. Isabel Louise, it's okay. It's okay. Because there are amazing pieces of art that we probably wouldn't appreciate as much if we knew a lot about the person. There are books that I know that are amazing works of fiction that are written by very problematic people. There's certainly music that is absolutely amazing that is done by problematic people. So it becomes really difficult to draw the line between what you're using as a tool, or, you know, gaining knowledge from it, or whatever you're doing with the person, with the creator, because I don't believe all creators are necessarily perfect. There's no such thing as perfect, and some are more problematic than others. And so then where do we draw the line in terms of, we don't know who made a particular hammer that we use that was, you know, a serial killer or something, right? There's problems with the, can you enjoy a book, or enjoy a movie, or enjoy a piece of art by somebody that is problematic, that has serious issues, and so it gets to be an interesting question. Now, I think that it's a bigger question for people maybe that are still around living today, because then the question of, do I want to put my money towards that person? So that's that things. It's easier, I think, for us when they are removed by death. So then we think about the fact that, okay, well, that person's already dead. I might really, you know, you might love a book that you had no clue was written by somebody who was really problematic. So then do you go and you research everything that you read, or every piece of art that you enjoy? It just gets to be. But then once it's a known thing, then you have to figure out, right? You have to figure out, all right, well, where do I stand when it's actually a person who's still living, and then you're contributing money to somebody that you know being as problematic. So, I mean, it's important and interesting issues. I don't think it's always quite so cut and dry all the time. Yeah, that's a hard one, Lilac and Gooseberry. She's bringing up the Mists of Avalon. That's a really hard one. That's something I didn't, I read that book a bazillion times. I didn't even know about that till relatively recently. I don't go out of the way. I don't go out of my way to find out personal things about authors or artists or things of that nature. I don't tend to, so I tend to have to stumble on it to really even know. And then if I don't know personally all the ins and outs, I feel like I either have to, just say, okay, if there's a problem, go sort out whether that's a problem for you or not, or else then I have to dive in deep and try to figure out exactly what's going on so that I can speak to it better. It's just one of those strange things. I definitely treat those who are passed differently than those who are still alive, need a profit. I do think, Molly, I think that can, that can be one of those things, I think, that can make the difference if you know that you're actually providing money maybe to somebody that you find problematic. But I don't think there's any way for us to ever really know. And I think, and this is the other thing, and I know we're far rabbit trailing it. The other thing is that I think that, and this is far removed from originally Duck Soup Productions. I don't even know all the details about that. But the other thing is just in terms of problematic people or people who have done bad things and that type of thing. Does that mean that that person can't create something absolutely amazing? Like, nobody is just one thing, right? There is no such thing as something that is entirely evil versus somebody that is entirely angelic, right? We are all really complicated, flawed human beings. And so just because somebody who is done things that we can't countenance in the past, and then we listen to maybe a piece of music that just blows you out of the water with the just the feelings behind some of these pieces of music, and then you realize that we find out maybe that person did some really terrible things in their lifetime, and you think, whoa, right? Because we're not all one thing. We aren't the sum of one action. We're not even the sum of one, then what caused that person? Like, think about the Mists of Avalon. You think about that creator. Like, I don't believe somebody's born that way. So what were the sequences that caused? It's just an interesting thing. It's a big topic to think about what it is that makes us human, both in our amazing heights and our terrible flaws, and the way that can reflect in art and books and music and things of that nature that are complicated. Anyways, we totally rabbit trailed. Like, I should probably try to cut this out, but I can't because it's live. So we're going to come back around to the purpose of this video. That might be a good discussion, right? That would be a good of our live chat discussions, that how art and creativity, expression, and the connection between what it means to be a very flawed human being and how we process all of that might be an interesting topic for live chat. Maybe not so much looking at decks that embrace the magical. And I don't know. Yeah, Reclaiming Life, I truly don't know. That's the thing, is that I've just heard things. So that's why I'm saying you have to make your own judgment calls on those things. So, oh no, Reclaiming Life. See, I mean, this is, you just don't know. I'm sorry, but you don't realize, like, we're in, especially if you're in certain age groups where you're in that flux, right? You're in that space where things are shifting and changing, and they're part of cultural norms, and you don't even yet quite realize, and it hasn't quite shifted enough and things happen where you're like, oh, looking back, you think, oh, well, that probably wasn't the best thing ever, right? But yes, my point isn't that the topic isn't interesting, because I find the topic fascinating, but it's not the best topic for this particular video. Okay. So I'm going to keep moving because the purpose of this video is to look at embrace the magical decks. So we're going to pull ourselves around to embracing the magical. This is a deck by Deborah Blake called Everyday Witch. I have not done a walkthrough of this deck as yet either, but I actually do find it to be really sweet. I do really think it's a sweet deck. And I'm not even a big fan of the whole pointy hat witches. I don't identify as a witch, despite my bosses and my father and other people's intention. This has a disturbing card. What is it, Shay? I haven't used it much. I haven't done a walkthrough, so maybe, I don't know, but I do think it is sweet from the outside. It does to me, it makes me think of is it the Green Witch Tarot? It has a similar vibe, but I find this one to be a little bit more well-rounded. I feel like the Green Witch is a beautiful deck. I think it's the Green Witch Tarot. It's another Llewellyn deck like this. Maybe somebody will know what I'm talking about. It's almost too sweet. Like there doesn't seem to be any conflict in the world whatsoever. So for example, the Four of Swords, you're kind of taking a break from trouble, but it doesn't seem to be a world in which there is any trouble whatsoever. Where this one feels a little bit more like you have conflict. There are like this, this guy is the Nine of Wands, or girl, I should say. And she looks like she's been through a bunch of wands. She's had a struggle that has occurred here. There just feels like a little bit more, there's a little bit more depth, maybe. I don't even want to say that because the Green Witch is really beautiful. It just feels like a world in which there's no conflict. And this does have a feeling where you do feel that really sweet, like that's so sweet. I also really like the art. I think the art is beautifully done. Like I love the cat. Look at that little cat. And he's looking and he's seeing a panther in the water. So I don't know if I'm explaining that well, because I do really think the Green Witch is a beautiful deck. I just don't find it very nuanced, and I ended up trading it. But this one I actually feel has the same energy, but then it just feels like it incorporates a little bit more balanced feel to the light and the shadow. If you're like me and are reading the Ravens Oracle book, and I have the Ravens or Prophecy or the Ravens Oracle deck, I feel like this is like really good. Yeah, it's the same illustrative style to the art. But look at that. I mean, that's a beautiful Eight of Swords. That's really gorgeous. The backs are very kind of kitschy cute, that witch broom and the witch's hat here. So yeah, if you're reading the Ravens, can't remember the name of the book, Raven's Wand books by Stephen Hutton, which I'm just reading the first ones. So I'm reading the first book, so I'm not far into it, but I'm really enjoying it. But it has like the pointy hats. I feel like this deck, if you like that book, you would probably like this deck, because I feel like this really goes with that kind of feel to his books so far. Yeah, I feel like it's really well put together for sure. All right, so there's that one. We're almost done, folks. We are almost done. I'm skimming. I want to open this one. Actually, this was sent to me for Embrace the Magical. Well, I haven't seen it. It's a Lenormand deck. I know that she said it's the creator of the deck. Her name is Crone's Bones on Etsy and YouTube. And this deck looks wonderfully embrace. Oh, I think it's a deck. I'll have to look at it, Shay. Like I said, I haven't done a walkthrough, so I don't. Oh, look at how she has it packaged. This is so embrace the magical. This says Crone's Bones, and it's like in a coffin box. See, stuff like this. This to me is so embrace the magical. And look at the little witch on the front. I just love stuff. Oh my gosh, I love stuff like this. Look. What is this? I don't even. Oh, these are like bones or something that you cast. Oh, wow. That's awesome. Oh, these are real bones that have been dressed with Van oil and my own secret blend. I prefer the old way, so I would also rub them all over myself and spit on them too, but that's up to you. The natural bone odor will fade with time. Do not keep asking the same question over and over again. So then it talks about how you can, looks very similar to, say, a playing card, yes and no. So yes, why would be a strong yes. Yes, I guess M is for no. Oh no, there's a yes, a no, and a maybe. Okay, look at these. Sorry, folks, we're digressing because this was for Embrace the Magical. Look, if you don't like bones, look away. Look away. So it has yeses and nos on each side. And you would cast them and you would get yes and no answers, much like you would cast playing cards for yes and no. That's pretty cool. I have a set of knuckle bones of Mongolian. My sister-in-law is Mongolian, and in Mongolia, they do readings, they do divination with knuckle bones. They also play games with them, camel knuckle bones. They also play games, and then they do read for them. I have them somewhere, and I don't know where they are at the moment from a bunch of moves, but this packaging, oh, look at Nikki. You even found those. You are so awesome. I know. I got to go look at the rest of the stuff on her Etsy page. That's awesome. That's really awesome packaging. And it's also kind of similar. There's, those kind of half moon things. I don't know if this is Chinese or Japanese. I don't know the exact ethnicity where they have the sort of half moons that are flat on one side and more rounded. And you cast those for yes and no things as well. Ah, there she is. I didn't even know you were on here. I did. I was saving them for this video. Oh, this bag smells amazing. I want knuckle bones. I have asked a few ethical butchers about saving them. These are awesome. The packaging is amazing and it smells amazing. So I was saving this. And I am not a patient person. I don't save decks to open later. I have no patience. Most of the time, I literally just rip things open in the post office parking lot because I have zero patience. I just know that I know it's a flaw in my character, but it's the truth. But I've been saving it because it even said embrace the magical on the tissue paper. And so I was saving it for this particular video. I love stuff like that for yes and no's because the only thing that I do for yes and no, I'm definitely going to try those out. The only thing that I do for yes and no is either playing cards or geomancy. Those are the two things that I'll use, or pendulum, that have, to me, have a real solid yes and no factor. So I quite like that. So thank you, Miss Crone's Bones, for sending me those. And the packaging is amazing. I love stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to keep moving. I'm going to keep moving here, folks. I think I have covered everything. I'm going to do I have two more. I'm going to save the very last one as my favorite ever. This is not it. But I love this. So this is the Dark Mansion Tarot. I know. Awesome packaging, Reclaiming Life. I mean, really seriously awesome. I love stuff like that. And the thing is I'm not good at that. Like some people are just amazing at those little touches that make things just an experience when you open them. And that's one of the benefits of places like Etsy and things like that, is that generally you're getting that really cool experience. And I know a lot of people are like, well, ditch the experience and make things cheaper. But you know, I think there's got to be a balance there, because I love the experience of opening up certain indie decks that have those little touches and things like that. And yeah, I didn't know she had a YouTube channel either. I'm going to check it out as well. But anyways, I just love stuff like that. That's exactly why I like Patrick Verlenza's whole thing with the Mildred Payne. Like I loved everything he did with that. The different maps that you would get and the expansion decks. And I loved everything about the experience of gaining all the pieces and parts of this deck. Whereas other people, I think, find it to be, you know, just pure marketing and annoying. If it's done well, it's a lot of fun. And that, as well as this Crone's Bones thing, like that stuff that's just done well, that adds to the cool factor. It adds to the magic of the experience, because we're talking about Embrace the Magical decks. Okay, we're almost done. I know it's been almost an hour and a half. This is a Dark Mansion Tarot. I've had this for a while. I think, I want to say almost a year. I think I might have got this in January. One of my all-time favorite backings. This is very much that illustrative style of I can't help but relate it to Tim Burton, even though it's not the exact same, but it is that kind of style, right? A little bit of this illustrative style. And it seems, and I think I can understand where the artist might probably get irritated with us saying, oh, it's like Tim Burton. It's like Tim Burton. It's not. It's like this particular artist's style, but it has that feel. But at the same time, I have found, I hadn't used it a whole lot. And then I know I'm tempted to do that, Miss Nikki. I do really want the regular size, but oh, I haven't even seen that on the archway of. Well, I don't know though, because I have other decks that have those little faces like that, those cool little faces. So, we'll call it an homage to Tim Burton. But I know people get irritated because we keep comparing it to Tim Burton. But I feel like it does, not the exact same, but it does look like it. Anyways, my point is that this deck isn't, to me, just cute or it also reads really well. I do think it's really beautifully done. I use this all month long for my Embrace the Magic. I only do Embrace the Magic readings, a particular reading that I do just in the month of August, just in the month of October. And so I've used all month long, I have used this deck. So I got some really good use out of it, and I really enjoyed it. I think it reads really beautifully. It is, it's a Rider-Waite Smith, but I feel like, a lot of decks are Rider-Waite Smith, and I can still read with them. But I just enjoy it. I really enjoyed it. This is this isn't the backing you have to pick. I think somebody, Reclaiming Life, didn't like the backing on it. I love the backing on it. But there are different backs that you can choose from. I don't even know if you can get this backing anymore. I think the current backing has stars on it, like a black sky with stars. There are various backings. I don't know anymore if you have a choice, but I know this isn't the backing. But I love this backing. It's like being in Victorian wood house, and you're going deeper and deeper, and then you're going to push the door, that button, and it's going to pop open. Oh, you can still get it. Okay. I do love this backing. But it's like you're going to push that jewel, and all those things are going to start to move and spread apart, and you're going to walk into the doorway and into this. Like, I love this devil card. I love it. Anyways, I'm a big fan, and since being able to use it a lot this month, I love it even more than I did before. But Shay said, Alchemy's Arrow says you can get this backing. You can still get that particular backing, but I also really like the sky backing as well. Okay, last deck, I think. And again, I know I have other decks that are Embrace the Magical. I just kind of went through everything quickly and pulled out what, oh, I have definitely this. We got to talk about this one real quick. Sorry, folks. Sorry, folks. I cannot forget this one. This is called the Monsters Lenormand, and it's one of my favorite Lenormand decks, period. It's adorable. It has a monster instead of the querent or the man. I mean, look at the little moon. Look at this tree. I have a walkthrough of this, so I'm not going to belabor the point too much. Look at the house. I don't think you can get these. She puts them out every so often, just in small batches. I think when I bought this, it was like I don't know if it was like a 50 batch or something like that. So you might want to just follow her on shoot, is it just Roller on Instagram? I'll have to try to find it and try to list it because she'll put it up every so often. I know she's working on, I think, a colored version, and I think she's working on a tarot deck. But I like this black and white. Like, I mean, the color is cool, but this black and white to me is just, it's just the best. I like the snake is two-headed. The stork has little teeth coming out of it. I just love it. There's nothing I don't love about this deck. It's complete perfection and a really good it's a really good Lenormand deck. It reads really well, you know, because that's one of the things. A lot of the decks that we're talking about today definitely run into the world of themes, right? They're kind of thematic decks, like the Everyday Witch. That's a thematic deck. The Zombie Tarot is a thematic deck. The Ghost Tarot is thematic. You know, these are decks that are based around themes. Now, sometimes themes can be just really cool to have because you're a collector and you particularly like a particular theme and you're like, I just love that theme and I don't really care. I'm collecting it, right? Which is nothing wrong with that. I definitely have decks like that. But then sometimes they're cool themes, but they don't really work great as a deck. And other times they are cool themes that really are cohesive and they're done really well. And that's what I think gets a little bit problematic in some of the theme decks, is finding the ones that are really cool, but also done very well and usable versus just collectible. This is a standard. I think this would be a standard poker. A good Lenormand should be a standard poker. This is my Lenormand, maybe bridge. So this is my Lenormand deck, which is poker, and that is slightly skinnier, so that would make it a bridge, probably a bridge size, because bridge is slightly more narrow, same height, but slightly more narrow than a poker card. So there we go. Okay. Last deck. We have one more deck. And I know somebody said it's okay to go longer. It's not so much for me about longness, but when I have a deck or a video that's kind of supposed to stay somewhat into a topic, I try to keep it concise. That way people can watch it back and they're just interested in what are the decks I think are Embrace the Magical. So last deck. Last deck is my favorite, of course, the Bohemian Gothic Tarot, which I think you can only get through the small size, Nikki. I think Nikki looked this up yesterday, and I think you can still get it, but it's only the small size. And I love this deck. It's my favorite walkthrough I've ever done, probably, just because it just brought so much joy. It's one of those decks that is cheesy goodness, but also really deep. reads beautifully, has actually got a nice sense of humor, but is also really nurturing. It's not cheap, but Baba Studio decks are not cheap. You know, watch for a reprint if you missed it. But it is one of my favorite decks. And in terms of Embrace the Magical, it is definitely. The use of light and dark in this deck is on point. But yes, in terms, look at, here's the, we'll leave it with the Wheel of Fortune, doing a fortune card reading. Yes. Oh, they did say no more. Shay said they are saying no more. You know, maybe they have some, like, you know, they didn't do the fairy tale one, and then they always seem to find some tucked away somewhere. That's another thing that's really annoying. You know, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I just found 2 whole boxes of XYZ and now I'm going to sell it, you know, whatever. It's like, okay, that's a little much. But anyways, the Bohemian Gothic Tarot by Alex Ukulov and Karen Mahoney, one of my all-time favorites of Embrace the Magical. So, but Shay did say we currently have no plans to reprint the Bohemian Gothic. So there you go. There you go. That's my favorite. Okay, I think that is everything. Again, I know I have other decks. Really, all decks embrace the magical. The whole point of divination systems is embracing the magical. But this was just, you know, people ask all the time for, okay, what are your favorites of this? And what is your favorite of that? So I thought at the end of Embrace the Magical month that we would look at the decks that for one reason or another for me embrace the magic of something, whether that be monsters, whether there be monsters or dragons or just mystical diving into the water of the high priestess. The mini is still available, but I heard it's very mini size wise, so it must be a small, so maybe pay attention to the sizing and look at the sizing of the mini. I feel like yeah, you can get the fairy tale Elisa Hunt. Oh, Bart said it's oh, I think he's talking about something else. I think my friend Bart has a small one. I mean, I think it's as big at least as the tin minis that we get, but I don't know. I don't have the mini, so I, you know, obviously look up the size or maybe draw it out so you can see exactly what it is, to see whether or not it's too small for you or not. 3.4. Oh, those are tiny. Card size, mini card size, Nikki says, is a little over 3.4 by 2 inches. That is small. I feel like that's smaller. Does this say what size this is? No. So this is a typical tin. You know how you can get these, a lot of these tins nowadays. I'm a big fan of tin decks. Do I have a ruler? No. Well, here, let's again use a poker card. So the tin cards are like bridge size, but a little taller. Because these are pretty typical for the, you know, tins that you can get all kinds of decks now in these tins. But this is like probably the width of a bridge card, but taller, maybe is what I would say. So anyways, you'll have to look it up, see whether that's good for you or not. But that's one bad thing about Baba Studios. I mean, it's obviously where they keep their collectability in Baba Studios is by having, you know, certain runs. And when the runs are up, the runs are up. That's part of the collectibleness of that particular tarot company. So you know, we just know that and have to roll with it. If we want it, we've got to get it, right? But anyways, oh, Annika Quilfin. Oh, she does a walkthrough of the mini. Is that what you're saying? Of the mini. Okay. So if you look up, and she's got spelled right. My friend Annika has a YouTube channel. She doesn't post there much anymore, but she has a walkthrough apparently of the mini. So then you'd be able to at least see it in, you know, her hands. And I'm sure she probably compares it to some other decks. So thank you, Shay, for checking on that. All right, folks, I'm going to wrap this up. I know that this is a day late and a dollar short, as they say. But I did want to get it out, even though we failed yesterday. Or not yet. Was it yesterday? Yeah, I think I did it on Halloween. I think it was yesterday. Yeah. Anyways, my brain is apparently getting muddled. I am just getting over a cold, so I feel like I've been a bit of a zombie myself all week. So when I couldn't get it to work last night, I'm like, okay, I'm just done. I'm just done with this. But I wanted to come up, even though it is the November 1st, and I will catch you guys all later. I will see you Saturday. Saturday, maybe a little bit early. I need to look at my schedule and post it. We normally do 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but I might do it 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I've got to check my schedule on that. But I will definitely be on Saturday. Just I'm not entirely sure the exact time. I will try to post that up tomorrow once I see my schedule Saturday. So I will see you guys all later, and I hope that you have an absolutely wonderful rest of your day. I have no clue where my mouse, there it is. I'm like, I don't even have my mouse to end it because I've got decks piled everywhere. I hope that you guys had a great October. I will be heading into, I will put up today, sorry, one more thing. I move right from Embrace the Magical into the Wild Woods. So I'm going to do the same thing that I did with Embrace the Magical. And this year can't commit to doing a daily anything. But I'm going to do, again, a weekly spread. And so I'm going to put up today, right after I do this, end this, I'm going to put up, well, I've got to put the graphic together of a week of weekly spreads for Into the Wild Woods. I am definitely going to be having some fun working with Force of Enchantment for that because I was holding this for that. I only did the walk, be her first tarot deck or not. But I'm going to be doing a lot of work with Into the Wild Woods this month with this deck, which is Force of Enchantment Tarot. But I will put, if you follow me on Instagram, I did also put them, if you go on YouTube to my channel, you can, there's a community tab. I actually don't think, because I forget that I can do that. I didn't put the very last spread for Embrace the Magical, so I'll put that up just so you people that are on Instagram, you people, that sounded rude, you people who are not on Instagram. No, so people who aren't on Instagram can have that final spread, and then I'll also post the first week of Embrace the Magical spread both on Instagram, Facebook, and that way you don't have to cross follow, because not everybody, you know, uses the same platforms. So that will be up. Watch for that. And again, it'll be the same thing. We'll be doing 4 weeks spreads for Into the Wild Woods. So now we're really going to go. Now we're going to go. Thank you, Miss Nikki, for all the links. Mwah.